Hi, my name is Daria Mesentsova and welcome to Politeka World Show. In today's show, we'll talk about the following: midterm elections 2022 in the USA. Who will control the Congress, Democrats or Republicans? Do these elections help or hinder Biden to be at the front? And what these midterm elections promise to Ukraine? About it, we will talk about the political expert, Igor Popov. Igor, I am happy to have you here.
Hello.
Yeah, so let's start from the last news we have for now about the midterm elections in the USA. We know that Republicans got the majority in the House of Representatives. A lot of experts tell that it's already done with this thing during the elections. And about Senate, the game isn't over. So what we could tell for now, how do you estimate these midterm elections?
Yes, Republicans won elections as all the experts expected. But this is not so dramatic victory as it was projected. Because the majority in his house is not so big as maybe Mr. Trump expected. And we still have intrigue in Senate, and it will be a runoff in Georgia. So we will see the outcome of elections for Senate only in December.
Mm-hmm. And if we're talking about Biden, so what scenarios, what are the visible scenarios for Biden, for the future career of Biden on the post of the president?
For sure, President Biden have to make his own decision about running for next presidential elections. And he told that he is still thinking. Most of all, that he will make positive decision and he will run for presidency next time. But it's still a discussion inside Democratic Party. Do they have any other bright candidates to compete Mr. Biden and to compete with the Republican opposition?
Yeah, but we know that Biden has, for now, not a lot of popularity among the voters, among the electorate. So it's like less than 50%. So how he could make it better, maybe?
American political system has primary, but for primary it's easier for party in opposition because if ruling president is participating in primaries and losing primaries, for sure it's not so good for ruling party. Mm-hmm. That's why here they will organize some internal discussion, they will organize the polls, they will organize modeling, and they will make this decision. Because for sure, President Biden has his strengths and weaknesses. And American politicians, as his party, know it much better than any other.
Yeah, but now we have high inflation in USA, start of the recession, high petrol prices, and so on. And people really sometimes even tell that they are exhausted from being Biden on his post. But for Ukraine, it's great. But just to finish this part about the USA, what do you think? Could electorate show that they are not ready for Biden for next term?
For sure, President Biden has to show to his voters some victories. And it could be victory in Ukraine, military victory, political victory in Ukraine. It could be victory in economics. If he will
it's an important point, Ukraine, for Biden for now, really.
Maybe it's not the key point in American politics. As usually, United States more concentrated for internal politics, for the internal economics, than for foreign policy. But in any case, Ukraine is the middle of attention in the whole world. And United States assists to Ukraine so much, financially, military, and Ukraine issue was in discussion in these midterm elections.
What do you think about Congress? Now, I think the point of House of Representatives is already decided. So, what about Congress? What do you think? Now we could see that the Republicans and the Democrats, they just go toy to toy, and we know that in December we will get the real situation, what will be the part of the Republicans in Senate. So what is your point of view on that?
First of all, I have to say that it's usual situation that on midterm elections, opposition usually wins. So it's
nothing changes
yes.
here, yeah. So this tendency is going
stable.
on.
Tendency is stable there, and as usually after this, for a president, for any president, it's much more difficult to work with the Congress because Congress is also preparing for next presidential round, and Congress could vote against some presidential bills. So it's a strong internal competition in the Congress. And again, it was predictable. And Biden's administration made some decisions which will allow them to survive in this condition. And for sure, their big hope is for elections in Georgia. So if they will keep the Senate, it will be much easier for Democrats to work.
Yeah, and what do you think about Florida? So I know the figures that 35% of voters in Florida, they are against Trump. What does it give for Biden and for the future of Democrats?
The governor of Florida, Mr. DeSantis, is one of the brightest Republican politicians. He has a good career. He has some victories in his state, and that's why Republican voters in Florida support their governor, the local guy, but not Donald Trump. And we already see that competition between Donald Trump and DeSantis already started. Maybe the both will participate in Republican primaries. But even without it, even without a formal announcement of their participation in presidential elections, Donald Trump already started to criticize DeSantis and told that he knows some interesting information about Mr. DeSantis and he could publicize it if Mr. DeSantis will make a decision about running for presidential.
Some experts already told that DeSantis, the victory of DeSantis shows that Trump is a loser for the presidential term, for the next possible presidential term. What do you think about it?
In many countries, voters prefer fresh faces, new politicians.
Like Ukraine, yes?
It's everywhere. And Donald Trump already rocked in White House. And for many voters, it's better to vote for somebody new. And DeSantis represents many conservative values. And it's visible how did he organize quarantine during COVID. It was not like in many other states. And many conservative Republican voters support his position.
Yeah. So let's move to the Ukrainian point, and we could talk about the aid to Ukraine if the situation in the USA will change. I mean, the politician power, in Senate. So let's start from that. What do you think about the whole importance of the midterm elections in the USA for Ukraine at all? Don't you think that there is like a thing that these narratives of the loss of control of Biden on Ukrainian aid is obvious, more like Russian propaganda, as well as pushing to negotiations with Russia by USA?
Several Republican candidates told something about aid to Ukraine. And many people in Ukraine
Why something? Igor?
were concerned about it. But
Yeah.
what did they say? They didn't tell that USA should stop all the aid to Ukraine. Majority of them told that they would like to see more control on financial aid, on military assistance, which is good. Because, be honest, there is already good system of control. It's already on the ground. Control on finances and control on military equipment. That's why if they will set up new special commission with reporting, nobody cares. Because what is this war? Mr. Putin several times publicly told that he started the war not against Ukraine, not against Europe, not against the Democratic Party in USA. Russia has started a war against Western values and against Western civilization.
Yeah.
And it's clear. And I will never believe that some American politicians will come to the Congress and tell that, we don't want this war, we don't want to fight against Kremlin, who is fighting against Western civilization. That's why, generally, I'm pretty sure that Congress will keep support to Ukraine. But there could be some details. And first of all, this more discussions about more control to the financial assistance.
Yeah, let's try to think about it a little bit deeper. And Oleg Pasternak is also a politician expert, told me that aid to Ukraine becomes a hostage to the competition between the Republicans and the Democrats, and there will be more Republicans who oppose the continuation of aid of Kyiv. However, Congress is unlikely to go their way, and first among the members of the Republican Party, many promise to continue to support Ukraine. Second, the granting of aid is not retroactive, and all funds provided by the already adopted acts must be allocated. Third, the White House has mechanisms for providing financial and military aid without consulting Congress. So we could stop here. What do you think? How effective are the ways of controlling all the financial points by the White House? Could they decide how much money will be transferred to Ukraine and how much aid, military aid, could be transferred to the Ukraine without Senate? Do you agree with it?
Yes, I agree with Mr. Pasternak's opinion because the United States has several mechanisms for assistance to Ukraine. And some of them includes voting in Congress for every specific financial tranche. But also US Congress voted for a lend-lease program, which allowed to a president power to make decisions about assistance without involving Congress on every stage. Now, Biden administration didn't use lend-lease so often, but if Congress will vote for some obstacles, administration could use this mechanism and provide assistance to Ukraine.
Why?
And also, it was very important in this quote that in Republican caucus in Congress there will be different politicians, and some of them are really against aid to Ukraine. For example, Rand Paul blocked this voting for lend-lease half a year ago. But for many others, for majority of Republicans, Ukraine issue is very important, and they will vote for any decisions for assisting Ukraine.
Yeah, if we're talking about lend-lease, why Biden didn't push this lend-lease to work effectively?
Because they have another mechanism which was easier for them. They decided that for this stage it's easier for them to include some list of equipment in general expenditures of Pentagon.
Yeah, but lend-lease has the main thing about lend-lease. It helps to get this all military stuff quickly without this bureaucracy points. So, and the main point about Ukrainian like experts, they tell a lot about the way how long this military aid come to Ukraine, how long they take. So this could resolve this problem. Why?
I read different opinions from American experts, and one of them told that lend-lease is easier and more simple, and other people are told that for some specific issues, easier not to use lend-lease but use some ordinary mechanisms. I don't remember, but it's their internal bureaucracy. Finally, we got everything that we asked. And we got it.
Are you sure about it?
Stage by stage, for sure. If we will ask soldiers in Ukraine, they will ask to provide tanks, Abrams, and military flights. But we understand that maybe it's not time yet to get the hardest equipment.
Yeah, but when, excuse me, we just move a little bit from the topic, but when it was saying a lot of times that Russia could bombard critical infrastructure, it was told by Russia a lot of times, and when it happened, we didn't have enough of air defense. What was the problem?
But when it happened, we got
but when some people died and when we had 30% of damages of our infrastructure.
It's still diplomatic games between West and Russia.
So we need to show that something is ruined and then America, oh yes, we need to help more.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, but why does it work like that? Maybe it's point of some problems in our strategic communication with USA. Maybe it's point because some experts I had talked with, they told that we didn't have the strategy very good organized and so on.
No? We have very well communication, and if we are talking about providing weapons, our delegation from Ministry of Defense participate in all the Rammstein meetings with 40 countries, which discuss what military equipment will be provided to Ukraine, and it's quite well organized and well controlled. But remember, at the beginning of war, what did West provide for us? Only some very simple equipment. For fighting against tanks and helicopters. And then step by step we started to get artillery and more and more and more. So it's not about communication from Ukraine because we asked about heavy equipment from the first days of the war. It's still about diplomatic relations between Russia and West. And it's also very important factor which influence to our war, because from one side West would like Ukraine to win, but from another side West doesn't want to destroy Russia totally. West doesn't want to make 15 small Russias in the territory of Russian Federation now. Because it will be chaos, and they're afraid of it. It will be chaos, and it will be many small regimes, maybe totalitarian, aggressive regimes with nuclear weapons. That's why we got messages from the West that it's time for negotiations. For sure, we don't want to finish war without the liberation of all our territory, but we understand position of some politicians in the West.
So, do you think that America is ready to continue of this war between Russia and Ukraine for like 1 year more? So don't you think they would like it will continue for longer than it could be if they help us more quickly, not gradually.
US and Europe will support Ukraine at least 1 year more. EU voted for financial assistance for the whole 2023 year. United States will provide lend-lease and financial assistance. But more and more we hear voices that Ukraine could start negotiations about peace agreement, about finishing the war, started now. But it doesn't mean that Mr. Zelensky have to meet Mr. Putin, shake hands, make selfie. No, but expert negotiations could start very soon. What is the problem from Ukraine point of view? It's the goal for the war. Maybe for United States, the goal in this war is to make Russia not so strong, make it weaker, that after the war, Russia will not attack Western civilization. Russia will not attack NATO, but that's all. For us, it's also a goal, but we have another goal. We have to get back our territories. And here is a small difference. That's why, for sure...
So first we need to negotiate with USA, maybe.
and we have these meetings. Just a couple of days ago, Jake Sullivan, National Security Advisor, came to Ukraine and he met all the Ukrainian leadership, military, people from the government, people from the presidential office, and discussed this possibility. What will be the final picture after the war? Because we have to discuss it for sure with our key ally. United States is our key ally. And what was important that after this meeting, Jake Sullivan conducted a public briefing and he told that there will be no negotiations on Ukraine without Ukraine, only with Ukraine on the same table. And United States respect the territorial integrity of Ukraine. So this is Ukrainian territory and United States will never recognize that part of territory is not Ukraine anymore. And we have a public position of President Zelensky after that meeting also, that Ukraine could make negotiations with Russia on peace agreement, on post-war, but Ukraine also has our issues to discuss. And Zelensky told about 5 issues: territorial integrity, respecting UN status, punishment for war crime organizers, money for reconstruction, and post-war guarantees, security guarantees for Ukraine that we will not see new aggression. It's clear, it's public position, and it's position for any official or semi-official representatives of Ukraine for any negotiations on peace agreement.
Yeah, and also you told that, for example, Americans started to push Ukraine to some negotiation just between the experts, first of all, or like middle officials. But do you think it is a time to start these negotiations? Maybe we need to wait a little bit to have this position from the to have the really strong position.
Nobody pushed Ukraine. It's clear. I didn't tell that somebody pushed Ukraine.
Yeah, but you told me that Ukrainians start to talk about it with you say start to talk with Ukraine about it.
Yes, we are discussing it. But again, it will be not short negotiations and immediately signing something. In Korea War, 70 years ago, negotiations continued 2 years. So if we will start some discussions on
but not negotiations. Yeah?
Negotiations is more official, it's for official delegations. But in any case, everything will start from discussions in Istanbul, in Riyadh, anywhere, with experts, with long breaks, and then we will follow to maybe some decision. And all this way, during the discussion, Ukrainian army will continue our offensive. So now Ukraine is in better position because it's better military situation for us, and for sure we could not dictate all everything during these negotiations or discussions, but at least we could be
stronger than
our position could be stronger than Russian position because they are losing territories that they occupied this year. So some discussions could continue. And be honest, these discussions never stopped because we have these non-official contacts, and the outcome of these contacts is, for example, exchange of people, of soldiers. Almost every week we exchange several dozens of prisoners, and people come back, which is very good. The outcome of this non-official discussions or negotiations, situation with Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant, at least our technical experts were allowed to come there to repair something. And after this visit, the probability of any catastrophic scenario decreased. It's also outcome of discussion. So I don't think that there will be very big peace agreement, political agreement, because the last 50 or 70 years, all the wars did not start officially. Nobody announced that I will announce war against you. And almost all these wars finished without peace agreements. Just finish it.
So how possible is the finish of the war like it was with Korean War? You mentioned it.
It's interesting model for analyzing because, for example, how this war finished. When all the sides decided that it's time for finish, after all these discussions, negotiations, for 24 hours they had built a special house, wooden house, with 4 entrances, and 4 delegations came from different entrances. Even they didn't discuss who will come first, who will wait for him. No, they entered immediately. They didn't shake hands. They signed ceasefire agreement, not peace agreement, just ceasefire agreement. And what is interesting that representative of South Korea didn't sign the agreement. He told that we will not lose territories. We will not agree with losing territories. And this temporary ceasefire is keeping for 70 years after this. So it's also a model. Because many Ukrainians expect that it will be total victory, like in World War II, and we will attack Kremlin and we will arrest everybody.
Today is 21st century, maybe it's...
And we will raise the flag, on the Ukrainian flag on Kremlin. For sure, emotionally, all of us would like to see it. But rationally, we understand that we have goals, we have priorities, and we will go to these goals.
Yeah, and also I would like to mention some words by Arestovich, the counselor of the office of the Ukrainian president. And he told that, for example, Republicans back to the elections, midterm elections in the USA, so they could use even some losses of Biden for themselves, for their benefits. For example, lend-lease, we were talking about it. So they could tell, for example, Biden organized this process of lend-lease, but we are Republicans. We started to use it and very successfully and so on. And it will be like the way they could get benefits from the electorate. And for us will be not bad, yeah? What do you think about this scenario?
Politicians in all the countries play these dirty games everywhere. Maybe except totalitarian countries, because they don't have politics.
They have another dirty games.
Yes, that's why it's obvious and it's nothing new. Ruling party administration is responsible for everything, and opposition will criticize any mistake or any loss of administration everywhere. The same in Ukraine, for sure. Our president, our administration also would like to have only victories in economics, military, everywhere. And the opposition now keeps silence, but ready to criticize any mistake.
Yeah, but what do you think about lend-lease? Could be this point used by Republicans? Maybe Biden should think to make it work quicker. Don't like leave this point to use it, to manipulate
yes.
with it.
Unfortunately, some politicians in the United States could use the internal procedures to not stop, but to freeze temporarily some assistance to Ukraine. And it will be very big and bad impact for our war.
Yeah, and one more thing. If we're talking about the Republicans, through the Republicans, there are also a lot of people who are like pro-Trump. Some are neo-Reagans, and there are another wings. And between Democrats, there are also people who don't want to aid Ukraine. So if we're talking about this, the future for Ukraine, if Republicans will be in Congress, the majority of Republicans will be in the Congress, what Ukraine could get in the whole, maybe it could be like even an advantage for our country, if we're talking about the military aid.
What makes me optimistic is the willingness of American people. All the public opinion polls showed that Republican voters as well as Democratic voters mainly for providing assistance to Ukraine.
Yes, so 78%, I think.
That's why American politicians will follow the will of their voters. That's why we have majority in American society, pro-Ukraine majority. That's why we will have a pro-Ukraine majority in Congress and in Senate, in any case.
Should Ukrainian officials be more persistent in talking about the aid? For example, HIMARS, we need, the Minister of the Defense, he told we need 100 HIMARS, but we already received only around 30 HIMARS. Maybe it's a point of persistency of our part.
It's every time discussion, and which is good that we have working relations in all levels and in all branches of our government. So President Zelensky has contacts with President Biden. Mr. Yermak has contacts with Jake Sullivan. Our Minister of Defense has relations with Pentagon. Mark Milley is talking to our Mr. Zaluzhny, who is head our general headquarters. So in every level, in every branch, they discuss very specific issues. For sure, all the time, our side asked more, faster, bigger, and their side told that not everything, not now, step by step, because they have their interests. And some of Western supporters concerned that if Ukrainian army will attack too fast, Russia will use a nuclear weapon, and nobody wanted. So that's why maybe we didn't get all the assistance as fast as we would like to have.
And one more point, if we're talking about the future between USA and China, how these midterm elections could impact the relations between these two hegemons? They are agreed on bipolar world, but something could be changed. What do you think?
Concerning China, I think there is an agreement between Democrats and Republicans that China is the main competitor. For sure, maybe some details, their position is different, but in any case, it's global economical competition and it's competition of values between US and China, so it's still on the ground.
But don't you think Republicans will be more aggressive to China? They already announced it.
From Ukrainian point of view,
and it could play for Russia.
Yes, world is so small, and if something will happen in Taiwan and between
Iran in Arabia and in Arabia, for example,
Iran and Saudi Arabia, Iran and Israel, even Kosovo and Serbia, Ukraine will get less attention. And for sure, we would like to get all the international assistance for us. to finish war with our victory. And for sure, we follow the situation in all other regions, in all other possible conflict areas, try to understand how it could impact to our war.
Yeah, we need to control everything.
You cannot control, at least follow.
Yeah, but maybe the last but not the least, maybe Ukraine just now need to think more and more about the future of its military forces, like to develop new military stuff. We know that we had some already. We developed it during this war between Russia and Ukraine. How effective is it just for now? And what efforts should we just do to make it like more quickly all this we need to be more like progressive and stronger country?
Now we have one of the strongest armies in the world, well equipped.
Yeah, the strongest one.
well trained.
Yeah. I know even, Igor, that Americans came to Ukraine and told, oh, Ukrainians know this weapon, this military stuff better than American military forces.
And when we are talking about security guarantees for Ukraine, who is the main guarantee? Not Russia, even not United States. Ukrainian army. That's why in document developed by a group of experts, we call it Yermak Rasmussen Group, the main guarantee is strong, high-tech Ukrainian army with all the modern weapons ready for defense against any aggressor. For sure, we need such army. And having this army, we could be one of the keystones in European security system. And it's all already discussed.
But that's why we need to push the talks about the entering of European Union. It is a good point for be stronger.
For sure, but even before this, Ukraine army could be one of the very important elements. And in Ukraine is a big discussion about new security instruments, new security doctrine, and Ukrainian experts already participate in it. Because for many years, Europe survived under American umbrella. And it was a very famous speech of Josep Borrell 2 weeks ago, that we have to think about our own defense. They, Europeans, and we are also Europeans, we are part of this defense system.
Yeah, Igor, it was really fruitful talk. Thank you for your time and thank you to be with us with Political World.